NBA teams fly in style, not only because it's elegant and expensive, but it also offers a speed that NBA teams need. But what if that aircraft crash? What if an accident happens that destroys the whole NBA team? Today at Finance Spur, we'll learn about the disaster draft and how it is implemented. But if you are interested in more videos about finance, technologies, and business, don't forget to click that subscribe button. Flying is the fastest way to travel around, and NBA teams have the most amount of travel compared to other people. During a regular season, NBA teams have 41 road games and 41 home games. This sometimes alternates or has 2 games in a row of either home or road games. With over 82 games a season, an NBA team takes around 100 flights each season. Although flying has become safer with today's standards, and the odds of an accident during a flight are 1 in 1.2 million, and the chances of fatal accidents are 1 in 11 million, flying is technically much safer compared to a car with a 1 in 5,000 chance of dying in a car crash. But being safe does not mean that it could never happen. One accident was with the 1949 Torino Football Club, an Italian soccer team that was flying back to the town of Turin in Italy. What happened was their 3-engine Fiat G212 crashed on the wall of the Basilica of Superga. The accident wiped out the whole Torino professional team on board the aircraft, including the coaches and managers, club officials, journalists, and a flight crew of 4. Another example was the crash of Lamia Flight 2933, which has the Chapecoense players of the Brazilian Football League, which killed all but 3 of its players, staff, and members of the media. But the real deal why NBA officials created the disaster draft is due to the 1960 Minneapolis Lakers, or what is now known as the Los Angeles Lakers. And on this flight is one of the most iconic players of all time, known as the logo Jerry West. The problem was that the plane that was carrying the team back home was traveling through a storm and lost all electrical power. The plane then went missing and no radio contact could be heard from the plane. However, due to luck and good piloting skills, the pilot can land the aircraft on a cornfield in Iowa. No casualty has been reported, but this prompted the NBA that if such an event happened worse, then the league would have no procedure or protocol to help a team. Hence, the disaster draft. So, what is a disaster draft? If a team lost almost all its players, they would be in a disaster draft. Now to simplify, a team that was damaged by a disaster and accident can pick or select one player from each NBA team. But NBA teams could exclude 5 players from the draft. Technically, these are their star players. So therefore, the draft would make up mostly sixth men and bench players. But there are no defined rules for the disaster draft. Although it is acknowledged that NBA teams could protect 5 players from their roster, NBA teams that are affected by the disaster could only pick 15 players from 30 NBA teams, meaning that only the NBA team that was affected could only pick 1 player from a franchise for the draft. This is to ensure that no franchise would be in an unfair situation and not be deeply impacted by the draft. Another rule was that NBA teams that are affected by the disaster could not exceed their salary cap. If there were survivors of the disaster, then they are still part of the team's salary cap. Lastly, the NBA team that was affected will be given the first pick of the next NBA draft and they would be able to keep their existing draft picks. But if they are giving the first pick, how would the other teams fit? The NBA would then bump the existing draft order down by 1 level. So the first pick of the original draft should be second pick if there were a disaster draft. What do you think of this disaster draft? I want to know your thoughts on the comments below. But if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos about finance, technology, and business. So hypothetically, and we are not hoping that a disaster draft would happen, let us say that an NBA team was impacted by disaster and all the players were not able to play. Could a disaster impacted franchise win a championship? The NBA awards a player for the sixth man position. Notable key role players and scorers are present in this position, such as recent award winner Boston's own Malcolm Brogdon, who averaged 14 points per game and was shooting 40% at the three-point line. There's also Heat star role player Tyler Herro and Jazz scoring machine Jordan Clarkson, who can score over 40 points a game. So imagine a team of this caliber. They can compete with any NBA team with their roster of good scoring bench players and role players. If they don't win the championship that season, there's always a draft. If the team that was affected by the disaster were to draft today, they could land their hands on one of the most awaited players and be considered as the unicorn big man Victor Wembanyama. So imagine a team of good consistent scorers with star capabilities and a first-round pick player that has the potential to be a star. NBA disaster teams could rise from the ashes. The National Football League, or the NFL, also has a disaster contingency plan. In this case, they call it near disaster and disaster. It is when a team has fewer players than 15 being disabled and more than 15 for the disaster. However, no disaster draft would be held for the near disaster scenario, but the team would get rights on any waivers until the end of the season. If a quarterback is among the fewer than 15 disabled, then the team would be able to draft up to 2 quarterbacks from all NFL teams with 3 available quarterbacks. Each team could protect 2 quarterbacks, mainly the 1 and 2 quarterbacks, and the drafter quarterback would return to their original team after the season has ended. For the disaster scenario, the commissioner would determine whether to cancel the team's schedule for the season. If canceled, then the team would be given the first pick of the next draft. A special draft would also be held in which a team could protect 32 of their players, or almost half of the team. If the team's schedule would not be cancelled, then the near-disaster protocol would be held instead. Disasters could happen anytime, and nobody is safe whether you are an NBA star or a billionaire. But there could be precautions and regulations. The NBA is just one of many organizations that have a fail-safe plan if a disaster should happen. But what if the Earth was in a similar situation? A large asteroid is on the way to hit the planet, or global warming takes its toll on mankind. What should we do? Luckily, there is SpaceX Mars mission. And if you are interested in knowing more about this, check out our channel. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click that notify bell for upcoming videos. But for now, this is Finance Spur. Have a great day.